Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Harsh, and thank you, AIOS, for having me on this. I apologize for the slight delay, got held up somewhere. We know that laser is simply light amplification by simulated emission of radiation, and I thought it's nice to get an overview of the wavelengths that are usually used for glaucoma. So the most common that we know is the Q-switched ND-YAG, which you use for capsulotomies, iridotomies, that's 1064. Then you have the SLT, which we just talked of, is just less than 532 nanometers, so it's a coagulative laser. In the middle of them, you have the micro pulse, which is just coming in. It's not as popular as the rest, but since it's in the market now, I put that in. Beyond that, you have the diode laser for cyclophotocoagulation, which is at about 810 nanometers. And then down the line comes the 532 green laser, which we do use for our iridoplasties and gonioplasties. And you can do argon, which is again a little less than that, same wavelength as the SLT. But as we've seen, the spot sizes and the duration and the energy is a little variant. So with this overview, basically, these are the lasers that are used for glaucoma treatment. You have the ND-YAG, which is a photodisruptive laser, and the indications are iridotomy and pupilloplasty. The argon is a photocoagulator used for iridotomies also, but more commonly for trabeculoplasty, iridoplasty, and suturolysis. Whereas the frequency doubled ND-YAG has almost taken over the argon for both the retina surgeons and us. So the argon is not so freely available. In place of that, we have the frequency doubled YAG, which is again a photocoagulator with similar indications as the argon, except that you have a frequency doubled YAG which has been incorporated into the SLT specifically for glaucoma only. And then comes the diode, which is again a photocoagulator, which you can use for trabeculoplasty also. You have diode trabeculoplasty, and more commonly nowadays used for cyclodestruction. So in a nutshell, the machines available in India are, of course, ND-YAG lasers alone, the SLT laser alone, the ND-YAG and SLT combination for a glaucoma-centric practice, frequency doubled ND-YAG alone, and ND-YAG and frequency doubled YAG combination. So that could be very, very useful for both a retina and varied glaucoma problems. Then there is one which I found, an ND-YAG SLT plus frequency doubled YAG. So you have an all-in-one machine, but the company I asked, and it's not marketed in India as yet, but it is available. It's called the Trios. We'll just go to which is what. And then you, of course, have the diode laser unit for cyclophotocoagulation, and you have a unit which is separate for endoscopic cyclophotocoagulation, which we'll talk about later. So these are the ND-YAG lasers commonly. I'm sure there must be, and this talk certainly has no financial disclosures. If I've left out companies, it's only because these are the ones which are most likely quoted when we ask for them. So we assume these are the ones which are more popular in the market and probably more reliable. So the parent company is Luminous. The Indian distributor is Luminous India. Nidec is distributed by KLB. LX is the one we have, that's from Toshbro. Zeiss is by Zeiss India, and you have the Appasamy by Appasamy Associates. The prices and the cost, I must put on record, is variable because the terms and conditions are very different. What I'm going to project here in very, very small font is what we got it for, which is what I took out from our records. But remember, when these companies supply to government hospitals, you have AMCs, you have CMCs, you have warranties, you have spare parts, you have CPU, table, laser, this, that, atram, shatram, and they put it all into their cost. So I'm not sure that the cost that I'm talking, and then they say all these things are provided free of cost. So I'm not sure whether the cost is what is available, so don't hang me for this. These are only costs that are quoted to government institutions, but it includes a lot of other things. So the terms and conditions of selling these machines might be very different depending on the situation. So having said that, the SLT is available in two, the LX and the Luminous. The Indian distributor is Toshbro and Luminous. This is what the SLT machine looks like, of course. Then more common, because anybody who's buying an SLT is interested in doing glaucoma management. Anybody doing glaucoma management has to be doing iridotomies, or so we hope. So the LX Tango or the Luminous Selector Duet is a very useful machine. If you're going in for an SLT, it makes sense to have an SLT ND-YAG laser combo. And the one that we have cost us 25 lakhs. Then you have frequency doubled YAG, lots and lots of them. I've just put in the ones which are more commonly quoted. The Zeiss Visulas from Zeiss, the Iridex Oculite Green Laser. This is probably one of the most common because when I asked across hospitals in Chandigarh, most people seem to have the Iridex Oculite. That's by Biomedics. But you also have the Nidec, the LX and the Appasamy. And the one that we have is the Oculite Green, and that's cost us 20 lakhs. But this is only frequency double. There is a combo available, an ND-YAG plus frequently doubled ND-YAG combo. I've asked Zeiss actually for a quote, but I haven't received it as yet. So I'm not sure if it's available, but it would be a very useful thing to have. If you could have just ND-YAG and frequency doubled YAG together in one machine, your entire glaucoma laser procedures, except for cyclodestruction probably, could be taken care of at one machine. So this would be a very useful machine to have as well. Then of course, glaucoma completely, the SLT as well as ND-YAG as well as frequency double. That again Zeiss, this is a Visulas 3 combo, that was a Visulas 2. So Zeiss makes both of them. They make all three actually, individual plus duo plus 3. And the Luminous Selector Trio is another one which has also, there are two companies which make a 3-in-1 laser which would be very, very useful to have. Then coming to the cyclophotocoagulation, you have a diode laser unit. The Iridex is very popular, the 810 nanometers, and it's distributed by Biomedics. The problem is the probes, the G probes or the glaucoma probes cost about 2 lakhs each, but what we do, we ETO them, we can't afford to have it disposable. So we ETO them, and on an average, I can say that we use it for about 50 patients. But after that, somehow the laser delivery and the energy is not as good as when it started. So then when we stop hearing the pops and we stop thinking in spite of increasing the laser. So, but on average, when I've found out, it lasts us about 50 patients, 40 to 50 patients each. And then Dr. Gauri will follow up the details of the endoscopic cyclophotocoagulation. She's giving me this figure that they've got it for 30 lakhs, but this was about 4 to 5 years ago. And this is from Medtronic Inc. and again distributed by Biomedics. Again, the probes cost about 1.5 lakhs, but she says that you can use it for about 25 to 30 patients. So that's about a nutshell for an overview of what's available in India. I think we're pretty much well stocked, and if we want to go out and do it, we just need to buy it.